Yeah, we brought things off with cricket on this Monday edition of the SportsMax Zone. Now, following Saturday's 5-wicket victory over England in the 4th T20 International, West Indies returned to the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground on Sunday, seeking another consolation win in the series finale. The Heavens, however, had other ideas, with persistent rain forcing an end to the encounter after just 5 overs, with the West Indies 44 without loss, consequently confirming a 3-1 series win for the visitors. 24 hours earlier, the Caribbean men had put on a masterful exhibition of stroke play to earn their first victory of the contest of the series, with Lewis 68 and partner Shai Hope 54 leading the charge with a 55-ball 136-run stand in their hunt of 219 runs. Now, despite a stutter from the middle order, the hosts completed the chase in 19 overs at 221 for 5. Spinner Gudakesh Moti had earlier led the West Indies with figures of a 2 for 40 against Jacob Bethel's unbeaten 62. Now, Shai Hope was named player of the match, and he spoke through the West Indies' approach to both innings.
Yeah, well, the first thing we saw was that when we were fielding the first innings, the pitch was a very good pitch. And as long as we could try to contain them as best as we could, give ourselves the best chance. And then before we went out to bat, the key thing was just to control the power play as a batter, not lose any wickets, and obviously put pressure on them. They've been striking with the new ball a lot, so as long as we didn't do that, we always know we have the caliber of players in our arsenal to chase down most, if not any, score. So the aim was just to get out the power play on top and then continue through the middle.
Yeah, there you have it from Shai Hope. Now, cricket analyst Nikhil Uttamchandani joins us as we try to get through some of the talking points coming out of the series. And yeah, what better man to speak to about this campaign, the best young commentator around at this stage of the game. Nikhil, it's great to have you on the SportsMax Zone. How are you doing today?
Well, Ricardo, that's some way to welcome yourself back. The best young commentator. I want to say thank you for that compliment. If it's coming from you, then I feel very good. And I want to know, before we even talk any cricket, how was your extended vacation?
Oh, it was amazing. Can I tell you, I had so much fun. There was a point when I did not even want to come back, but I heard that Mariah was missing me, and so I decided to hurry on over.
Well, thank God for me, Nikhil.
Yeah, the SportsMax Zone would not be possible without Ricardo, you know?
It was possible for 6 weeks, and it went on pretty well from what I understand. But let's talk some cricket, Nikhil. A lot has been made of this series, and the fact that the West Indies, of course, lost by 3-1 in the T20 internationals. A lot of individuals, especially after the one-day series victory, thought to themselves, yeah, we've got this T20 thing down, and the expectation was that the West Indies would go on and win it. That, of course, was not the case. But throughout both campaigns, the T20 internationals and the ODIs, a lot made about the fact that the teams batting second, or the team batting second, dominated both campaigns. When I look at it, though, I wonder if from a West Indies perspective, there's a bigger issue. And just before you come in, I want to look at some numbers here in terms of how the Caribbean side has gone in 2024 in both ODIs and T20 internationals, because I think that really tells a story about the struggles of the West Indies when they have to chase in both formats of the game. So this is in ODI cricket 2024. Batting first, 5 matches, 0 wins. Batting second, chasing, 4 matches, 3 wins. That's a 75% win record in ODI cricket for 2024. And then in T20 international cricket, 13 matches batting first, 6 wins. That's a 46% win percentage. And then chasing 11 matches, 8 wins. Yeah, the win percentage goes up significantly at 73. What's happening in this area, Nikhil Uttamchandani?
Yeah, Ricardo, I would even add to that stat on the T20s. The last 7 times they batted first, they've lost 6 of them. So it is a huge concern in both formats. Great observation. I think having a discussion about it with some of the other commentators and listening to the West Indian batters speak about their challenges, I think it's quite simple. It's an inability to assess conditions quickly enough. You only have to look at a team like India, who have won 22 of 26 matches this year. They've played in all different conditions, just recently winning in South Africa. They've won the World Cup here in the West Indies. Obviously, they've won at home. I think the best teams in the world for years have been the ones who can go to a variety of conditions and adapt quickly. And what we saw was, yes, the games were so heavily skewed to the favor of the team that won the toss. I think we did not even see in the first 2 games an attempt, probably that's harsh. In the second game, you could say there was an attempt to assess conditions. But in the first and third game, the West Indies came up with this all-out attacking approach. And it was shocking because the ball was doing a lot. England, obviously, we have to give them credit. We're very disciplined. But it did not look like an approach that suited how well England were bowling and also how difficult the conditions were.
Interesting that you said that there was an attempt in the second game, but some would say that attempt came after you were 30-odd for 3 within the power play.
Yeah, the reason I said that is because other than I think it was Shai Hope's run out in that game, other than that, I think Brandon King played that game actually. When you look at the dismissals, a few of them were, you could see like Roston Chase, for example, being dismissed, trying to be a bit defensive. So I think whereas in the first and third game, I looked at all the dismissals of the top 5 and all of them were attacking. So that's why I said maybe there was an attempt. But look, regardless, I think all 3 games the West Indies will be disappointed with, even though they lost the toss. The fact that they didn't give their depth and the power that we know they have, and we saw it with the low order pulling them through in the first 2 games at least. It was a pity that they didn't give their depth a chance with wickets in hand going into maybe the last 5 or 7 overs. Yeah,
it's clear that it's an area that Coach Darren Samuel will really have to work on, and the players themselves will have to work on, as you pointed out, in terms of assessing the conditions. Now, there's one player, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm starting to get the distinct impression that Shai Hope is not a first-choice batsman in the T20 setup. He didn't start this last series against England. He didn't start at the World Cup either, and we saw what he did when he finally got his opportunity there. We saw what he did when he finally got his opportunity here. And I just want to quickly look at his stats from 2024 once again to show that there has been quality there. 13 matches, 354 runs, averaging over 35.5. Strike rate is what impresses me as well, 163.9, his highest score of 82. And for me, because Shai Hope is such, I believe, a quality batsman, he is one of those players who can assess conditions when the wicket is difficult and bat through more difficult circumstances. And I struggle to understand why he doesn't seem to be a first-choice batsman in the T20 setup, Nikhil. I don't know if you can help me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Ricardo. First of all, there will be people saying, well, his runs like that 82 came against the USA, and he had a really good series against South Africa, which was a weekend bowling
USA
attack.
beat Pakistan at the World Cup, so we could have that conversation as well.
And I would say that he has to play what's in front of him. And the way he batted against a decent England attack, I mean, tells you all you need to know. I think what has been interesting is they want Shai Hope to be someone who can bat in the middle overs. And I asked him after he won the player of the match, where does he prefer to bat? He also said the middle, but obviously he'll do what's required. The thing is that I think he is so flexible that it's almost worked, not against him, but it's almost worked that wherever there's an absence, whether it's at 3 with no Pooran in Sri Lanka, he batted there. In the World Cup when Brandon King was injured, they went to him to open the batting. So it is an interesting one as to why he's not been preferred. Brandon King obviously has had a few good years and he's developed something with Evan Lewis, and there have been times where the two of them have been quite attacking and it's come off. The problem is that those have been times where the conditions have been supportive. When the ball is doing a bit and the conditions are not as flat per se, or the West Indies are not chasing, then we tend to see, that opening pair struggle. If you look at the numbers, when they bat first, the two of them, their numbers are way lower than when they chase on good wickets. So I think I completely support your opinion in the fact that with someone like Shai Hope in your team, who's very good against the spin, probably better against spin than pace, that has been an Achilles heel for the West Indies. But also, when you have Lewis and you have Pooran, Hetmeyer, Rutherford, all that power surrounded, Hope might be the person that you may need to assess conditions. And look, the way he did it in the game where he got 50, he told me after the game off mic, he said, bro, we got 6 off the first 2 overs and still we managed to get 63 in the power play. And that was a perfect example of you can still assess conditions, get in on a wicket that may be a bit challenging, and then make back up with the power that you have.
Yeah, and before we get the thoughts of Marion on this one as well, Nikhil, I just want to be clear that I am not suggesting if Shai Hope is in the side, he must open. I'm suggesting he should be in the side, because I understand that there is flexibility with a player like that. When you look at, for example, his 54, one of the things I was so impressed with was how he was able to manipulate the field, pack the offside. He's able to pick the gaps on the onside as well. Because he's such a good all-round player, I just feel he is the type of player, and he's developed all aspects of his game as well. We spoke about it earlier this year. To me, it just makes him the perfect man to be around those big hitters that you speak about.
But the only question would be, who do you leave out?
I don't know. Maybe Mariah can help us answer that.
No, well, that's a really, really tough one, Nikhil, because, you know, we're looking at the numbers. You know, I think, and I've said this before on the show, that, you know, Darren Sammy is in a position, a good position, because for quite some time, you know, we'd always stick with players, whether they were good or not, because, you know, it's what we had to work with. Having competition for places is always a good thing because it pushes other players. I still didn't answer who I'm leaving out because I think it's a tough one. I don't know. We'll have to leave that up to Sammy and the conditions.
Yeah, certainly, Murray. I think, look, it's definitely a good thing. Hope will challenge Hetmeyer. He'll challenge Rutherford. Equally, he'll challenge Brandon King at the top of the order, and that's the versatility he shows. What I understand, though, from the West Indies is that what they see is, and I think, to be honest, more performances like this are almost sort of proving this theory wrong. For so long, it's been either have Shai Hope or Roston Chase in your team to be that quote-unquote glue in your batting lineup.
Yeah.
But Hope is showing you that in good conditions, like a couple of days ago, he can be an explosive player like the rest as well, and probably is better at adapting in the adverse conditions. So he's almost denying or disproving that theory, which I think is helping his stock rise.
Yeah, and you know, I want to keep talking about the cricket, but seeing that Ricardo just handed me the baton, I just want to go back to the TV broadcast discussion. So earlier today, right, Nikhil, I was reading a report on ESPN, and I feel like you probably came across the report, and I think you're the best person to talk about it because you were a part of the broadcast team. So this report in particular was, you know, along the lines that the time of these matches have been put in a way where it really benefits those viewing in the UK and everything. And as a result, as we saw, those batting first have suffered massively. Any truth to that discussion or that article?
Yeah, there's of course there's truth to it. You look up the results of all the games. It's sort of the thing where you start at 2 o'clock in one-day international cricket because it means that the team batting second is batting around 5:36. Dew sets in, surfaces cooler, ball comes onto the bat better, and there's a wet ball for the opposition to deal with. And likewise, when you start at 4 o'clock for a T20I game. However, I mean, it's easy for fans to sit there and say, well, it's not good enough, or obviously it's too skewed, like Robin Powell said. My only thing would be, my sort of response to that would be, TV rights is sort of ruling the game now, the world game. There's nothing without television rights. And you only have to look at TNT's sports deal to take these in England away series. They pay a lot of money to carry this. And what's the point of paying money for the series where nobody in England is watching? So it's a very tough line and a tough, probably, situation for the administrators to deal with. But I can't fault them for having the games at an accessible time to an English audience. And also maybe a West Indian audience who can come in after work, being a 4 o'clock start, because you need TV rights, you need people watching the games.
Yeah, but there's also the angle about what about when you show the shots in the stands and nobody turns out because, you know, they feel as if they keep coming to watch their team bat and the team bats first and then they lose, Nikhil.
Well, it's fair, but I would argue that maybe we need to do better at our in-stadia experience and maybe find other ways to attract people. I mean, definitely the winning and losing makes a huge difference, but I also think there's no right answer because you could say have the games at 6 or 7 so that West Indians can come in, but then no one in England is watching. So probably you have to weigh up which is the bigger priority, and the money that is behind TV rights in the world game now, I wouldn't be surprised if that is probably the bigger priority. Yeah,
we have to wrap up now, but I had this one to ask you before you leave. It's about Nicholas Pooran now becoming the most capped T20 international player, taking over from Karen Pollard, fellow Trini. A big, big moment for him. And, you know, I listened to Shai Hope saying, you know, he hopes he plays for longer and contributes in the manner in which he did.
Yeah, huge achievement for Pooran to be the most capped player when you think about the legends of the game that have played T20 cricket for the West Indies. I hope, he said he wants to play another 100 games, and I hope in these next 50 or 100 or how much ever he plays, that there's more responsibility, more consistency. Talking to him, there's nothing more than he wants than to win games for the West Indies and get big totals. He hasn't found it yet, and he's found it at the franchise level. But I definitely know that he's trying to alter and adapt his game and be adjustable to be able to get those big scores for the West Indies. And I hope these next run of games brings him that success.
Well, Nikhil Chandani, one thing I will say, Coach Darren Sammy has a lot to work with, but he also has a lot to work on with this West Indies team if they're to get to where we all know they are capable of. Nikhil, thanks very much for chatting to us. There's so much more we could discuss, but we have to leave it there for today. Take care, man.
Yes, Ricardo. Welcome back.
Thank you. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more.